Hey guys, so let's look at several materials which we're gonna need for this class, and whoever is involved with arts is going to keep using them. One of them, it's a sharpener, a pencil sharpener, a nice traditional regular sharpener. Then we're gonna have what's called an X-Acto knife, and an X-Acto knife, if you guys look very carefully, is nothing else but this holder, which is divided into parts. One of them is the header, and on the header usually you have this textural quality, and then is the handle itself. If you flip upside down these things, you're gonna see that on the top you have this tiny groove. Also, you realize that the silver part, the header, tends to open by twisting it. So when you open, this groove is gonna open, and you put the blade in, the X-Acto knife blade. When you pick up the blades, guys, from the packaging, whichever shape might be, I have a box, but sometimes you find them in some small, tiny plastic containers, cylindrical containers. So when you pick up the blade, never pick it up on its tip. Once you leave grease from your fingers, but also you may hurt yourself. So try to pick it up from its end, if you guys look, from this part, and then very slightly slide it in this groove. Then let the gravity play, so the blade goes completely inside, and then just tie it and make sure that it's safe by twisting the silver part. So now I can use it. So we're gonna need, you would wanna have the sharpener, the X-Acto knife, couple of extra blades, and you might wanna have either this sand block, which basically is nothing else but this masonite board, and on the top of the masonite board you have stapled several sheets of sandpaper, really fine sandpapers. Or this one tends to be about $6. I would recommend you guys to go to Home Depot actually and to buy some sheets of regular sandpaper, if you'll be so kind, by 220, which is a really fine grade. So we're gonna use those things. Today we're gonna focus mostly on their sharpening use. When you guys work, and also I forgot, try to have a tissue paper, paper towel, a tissue paper. It's always good to have several next to you actually. When you guys work, we'll have, let's say the regular pencil. If you use the sharpener, what you are doing basically, you are exposing the lead. Now, when you use the sharpener, you would have just a very small tip. When you guys draw, you would like to have a longer tip. So if you look at the two of them, the difference between two of them, it's easy to see. Because a longer tip is gonna cover a bigger surface when you apply values or shading, as you are calling it sometimes, or when you are sketching, or it's gonna give you much more flexibility actually. The smaller tip, it's usually used for detail work. So also, if you use the sharpener itself, when we move into using the charcoal pencils, which are those things, and if you guys remember, basically you have the handle, which is made out of wood, or the carcass of the pencil, if you want to put it so, and then the inside, which is powder compressed charcoal, really charcoal which was burned quite a bit at high degrees of fire. So you have this charcoal inside, which you want to expose it by taking away the wood. Now, some sharpeners don't fit actually, are not meant for charcoals, but also because the charcoal itself is softer. If you try to use your sharpener, you're gonna keep breaking the lid until you run out of pencil basically. So when we sharpen the pencil, we're gonna first use our X-Acto knife, make sure that it's safe. Then we're gonna take a pencil, for example. If you guys have any sort of container, to accept the residues, will be great. Then as you have your hand, the index is for pushing and balance underneath. The thumb is for counterbalance, and the other just to support the finger. So open your hand, fix your charcoal pencil, always make sure that the blade is in front of your hand, so you'll never have an accident. So give a little bit of space, about 3/4 inch between the tip of your pencil, or whatever you have at this point, and the thumb, this distance. And then take your X-Acto knife, and I'll shift my hand. So when you start the sharpening, have this gentle angle with the pencil. I don't know if you guys can see. And just make a small groove basically. And then start to straighten your blade basically. So push, let's bring this one, push with your thumb the blade. So it's almost as if you are scraping away the wood. Don't press inside, inwards, because you're gonna break the charcoal. So very gently, we're gonna try to do it until we expose the charcoal. And once again, so use your thumb to push not on the blade, on the silver part, on the head of your X-Acto knife. So you're gonna start to reveal the charcoal. And if you have a 6B, that means that it's a really soft pencil, which means that it can break quite fast. So if you guys look, I literally scrape away. Now, after you are done, the exposed charcoal is gonna appear bumpier if you touch. You don't wanna have those bumps, because if you apply value or if you create lines, the bumps are gonna get activated and they were gonna leave their own type of marks on your page, some of them lighter, some of them darker, and you won't be able to have a consistent mark application. In order to avoid this spot, you're gonna take your sand block, or we're gonna look also at the sand itself. If you use the sand block, you put it on your hand and then very lightly, I will take a new sheet so you guys can see, and then very lightly, pretty much like a barber sharpening its tools, you're gonna put the pencil to be flashed with the surface of the sandpaper. You're gonna pull, drag towards you and spin at the same time. So if you look, I have differences in marks because I have some bumps actually. So I'll try to do this exercise. So once again, I drag the pencil towards me and I spin it at the same time. So in this way, basically, I'm not creating a tip of the pencil. I'm just creating a sort of smooth cylinder out of the charcoal. If I'm looking, it doesn't quite have a tip. In order to create the tip, I will, if you guys look, I have an angle between the sandpaper and the charcoal. And as I said, you don't have to use those blocks. You can use regular sandpaper. However, if you use the regular sandpaper, don't hold it on your hand. Put it on a surface, a harder surface, and then very gently start to sharpen the tip. Do not press because you're gonna destroy the. If you guys look very carefully, after you are done, take your tissue paper because you'll have some pigment. If you look, this powdery, and if you take your pencil and start to immediately draw after you sharpen it, all that powder will be discharged on your drawing. So what you can do, open your hand, put your paper towel, put the pencil inside, and then just very gently spin it. So you eliminate, if you guys look, that powder. You'll do the same if you use to sharpen your regular pencils. And also, when you are working, guys, and you use those charcoal sticks, you might want to use the sandpaper to either sharpen your tips if you want to have sharper lines, or to maintain the shape of the stick. If you look, this one, it has edges. It's almost like a box, like a block sort of. And if I want to maintain this surface, I will just go on each side and I will sand it. If I want to create a tip, I will pull the charcoal towards me, twist it, and I'll start to have this nice sharp here pointy part. So that depends what you want to do. Once again, for charcoals, either pencil or sticks, I would use my paper towel to eliminate some of this powder. So you're gonna need the sandpaper, either regular 220 or the black sandpaper, couple of X-Acto blades, the X-Acto handle for the X-Acto knife, your pencils, and the paper towel. Of course, you can have your sharpener. I would advise, not to use it, to abuse it.